There's a lot of things in our society that seem to be quickly vanishing. One of those things is, in my opinion, a respect for those in authority and the elders around us. When Sean and I were children, respect began in the home. You didn't dare talk back to your mom and dad, and you knew what you'd get if you did. And that respect carried out of the home, into the school, into the community, into society, because you knew what was expected of you and you respected the authority around you,
True.
or you were going to be shown how to respect authority.
That's right. Hi, I'm Shauna, and this is my husband, Pete. We're Gallia Family Discipleship. We're both ordained ministers with the Church of God, and we're asking you just to come and study the Bible with us. This week we are on 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 4 through 6. I want to read those, and we'll get started with the discussion. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, ye shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elders, yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, and he may exalt you in due time.
Okay, we see this as a major problem in society, but I believe it's become a major problem in the church too. People refuse to submit to the authority that God has placed over their lives.
Yeah.
You see it because no longer do they call their pastor so-and-so. It's first name basis. And no longer are people willing for someone to come to them and give them a word of correction. If someone comes to them and gives them a word of correction, it's immediately, how dare they?
It's true.
Right. And even though it's done with love, even though it's done with the word of God, individuals would rather say, well, I'm not staying here, I'm going somewhere else, than sit under the authority of someone who's trying to lovingly correct them.
It's true. You know, God is going to use someone. He's not telling us that we should just submit it to authority just for the simple fact of submitting. He's telling us because he has raised people up and put them in positions, and those positions have heavy weight upon them. That's a great responsibility for a pastor or a leader or even an elder, someone continually growing in the faith. For them to shepherd you is a great responsibility. You know, many pastors are so overwhelmed and stressed, many elders in the church, because they take care of the flock. They are ministering. They're responsible for teaching the Bible. They're responsible for caring for your family and praying over you. So we should, in respect, always be humble and submit to authority.
Right, because you know what? God's kingdom is that of structure and organization and hierarchy. I mean, we see that. He has structure. Read the book of Leviticus and say that God is not a God of structure and design. Whenever these individuals are placed within that placed in a level of responsibility, we know that God judges them at a different level, right? The book of James says, hey, if you're a teacher, you're going to be judged higher, more accountability than someone else. So these individuals not only have authority within the church, they have a greater responsibility. They're going to stand before Jesus Christ on the day of judgment, the beam of right, to see the judgment for the righteous, and they're going to be held accountable for what they taught. They're going to be held accountable for, did they correct the sheep under them? Yeah. They're going to be held accountable for, did they stand up for the right things? Did they preach against the right things? Did they preach for the right things? And that accountability is very weighty, like Shauna said, and we respect that. We should honor that. And if you sit under an individual within your church, you should honor that authority.
Right, and the book of Psalms tells us that, you know, God will exalt those who humble themselves, you know. And
Verse 6 says about the same thing.
Yeah, and so that's repeated here in 1 Peter. And it is important for us to live a humble life as a Christian, not to be arrogant and haughty and to be puffed up or prideful. And I know that as a parent, when my children are disrespectful to someone outside of our home, like a teacher or a children's pastor, even if it is someone in authority in a store and my children are disrespectful to them, it embarrasses me. It brings me shame, because those children are my responsibility to teach them that. So you don't want to bring any shame or embarrassment upon God because of the way that you act. So I want to be who God has called me to be, who God is asking us and instructing us to be. And if that means sometimes that we have to swallow our pride and be humble, well, all the time swallow our pride and be humble, then so be it.
Right. And especially when it comes to those in authority within the church.
Yes.
know that they love you. Know that they're caring for you. Know that they are coming at you with the spirit of a shepherd, right? They're loving you,
Yeah.
correcting you out of love, not out of judgment.
As long as it lines up with the Word of
They
God.
want to see you closer to God. So going forward, remember there's 4 things a disciple of Jesus Christ will do every day.
That's exalt God, encounter God, edify yourself by reading the Word of God, and engage this world for Jesus Christ. Until next time, God bless.